try this here. All right, my friends, what is happening out there in YouTube land? Let me get things situated here. Let me get it all situated here. And I'm going to have to kind of shut this down to conserve on the batteries. Let's do this, that, and the other. If you want to find out exactly what I've been using, let's go ahead and do that. Let's push this over on the side. Yeah, the battery ran out of here. I might have to check the battery connection because I did put a new battery in here. And I'm just using the tracks off a trusty old Tascam DR07. These little things are great, man. We got two of these. One I think I have to take apart and see if I can fix the volume button. Got stuck, so I have to see that. And then run straight into the Yamaha THR10C. Now these are for the classic amps. So you're not going to get very heavy overdrive distortions out of that. Let me just go ahead and unplug that. What's really cool is that's the volume for your backing track. That's your guitar volume. And then here's all your EQ and your settings. That's your input for guitar. That's your headphone jack. When you plug in that, it disengages the speakers. And that is the jack to run into, your backing tracks, whatever device you might be using. Okay, but let me go ahead and turn this around here. And as you can see, maybe you can't, but you'll see in a moment. Happen to be, let's do this. Let's go ahead and do this. In a hotel room in Tallahassee. And thank you, sweetie. I really appreciate that. Dave Byron Music LLC. I know who that is. But yeah, let me go ahead and show you what the room looks like. Of course, there's the bed. I'm by myself in here. And I had to bring the temperature down on this thing. They had it set to 64 degrees. It's mama. Yep, it is mama. So I had to bring it up to like at least 72 because the temperature was at 74 degrees. And I just got the light off here, otherwise you get a washout, And by the way, that is complimentary. Did ask. Joe Wentz, what is happening, brother? Good seeing you, man. I am actually doing a run for the company that I drive for. We have to pick up a couple of vehicles, a couple of buses here. So we have to spend the night because we got to bring them from here. Let me turn this around, guys. Let me turn this around. Stupid screensaver. I'm going to take that thing off. I'm never again going to put another screensaver on these phones. You want to know why? When you go to push to get a connection, like to turn the camera around or to bring stuff up, it doesn't work. It simply doesn't work. Wow. Let's see what I could do here. Maybe I need to come a little bit over here. Yeah. So, yeah. I got the little Squire Telly. This little guitar is great. How about it, Deb? This thing with the strap and tax, $195. How could you go wrong? Oh, by the way, those Keurig things, there's tea in there, Deb. And I asked the lady, that is tea. Bumblebest, what has happened? Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, Joe, that's Deb. She's it's Dave Byron Music LLC. That's Deb. Thank you so much, Joe. I'm glad everything is going well with you, my friend. And I'm glad that, can't go wrong. That's right. Can't go wrong. How about it? Now, obviously, the QSC speaker was a little more, but it's worth it. And we had our new business cards had just arrived today. Deb just texted me, and showed me the pictures. That plus our ad for our Christmas guitar show, which will be December 18th at Anchor Inn. I don't know if I could turn the slide off, see if you could see me better. Don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Because it's still kind of light out here. Uh, so, yeah, we got that going on. Here, maybe I can put this shade up. There's a guy named Brad, technical difficulties. That's me. I should get a shirt like that. Technical difficulties. Yeah, we're actually, there's only 4 of us drivers here, and everyone's got their own room. And we're at the Holiday Inn Hotel. It's great. You know, it's absolutely great. Like I said, the guitar comes with at all times because, you know, I got Friday's show, Saturday's show, so it gives me a chance to rehearse, you know. I have friends that actually are, you know, over the road truckers, and I tell them, hey, don't quit your job, man. And they'll have the sleeper in the back, and if they got a keyboard or a guitar, like that guy, truck driver Sean, grab your guitar with you, man, if you want to, you know, continue, you know, maintaining your chops, get creative ideas, songwriting, get a little digital recorder. I mean, you could get something like this, the little Tascam. You get the Tascam DR40X or the Zoom. I know Zoom came out with the H8 handheld. I actually like the H6 better because the H6 will have knobs. Everything that's on a screen and only on a screen, that means you got to get into all your settings, buy a screen, this, that, and the other. Anything could go wrong with that, and now you're kind of screwed. If you have if this, to me, a screen should be set to see all your meters and that. But everything else should be knobbed based because if something goes wrong, you could turn a knob. But if not, if you gotta get into a menu and you can't see the screen, or you know you're outside too long with the thing and the sun washed out the screen or something, you know, it's like you're kind of screwed. And I don't like that. I don't like that. I think for me, and actually Deb even agrees, we like analog mixers and analog. I mean, it's nice to have the two mixed together, which is fine. But what's nice with analog with knobs, you could turn them. Nothing's going to go wrong unless the knob breaks. But if something goes wrong with that screen and that menu, you are screwed. And honestly, income, yep, that's right. Multiple streams of income is good. Absolutely, Deb. Absolutely, absolutely. You know how many times, you know how many people don't really understand this in the beginning. And I'm not saying it as anything rude or anything like that. They get embarrassed that they have to take another stream of income. When you do YouTube, or let's say you do anything on the internet, that even as might not be music related, let's say you're doing Amazon affiliation, that's another stream of income. The problem with this, the only thing I can see, is that you can't use it as like a substantial source, you know, unless you're selling something that's really a need and you're in that niche of the need market. Then you have a more stronger a chance. Even if you're coming in on the low end for income, then you're gonna have much more of a chance of having some serious money coming in, as opposed to the wants, because the wants are the wants, you know, and that's just how it is. That's just really how it is. So if a person could position themselves with a needs job to supplement everything, you're gonna come out ahead. You really will come out ahead. And that's why, and you know that's why what Deb said about multiple streams of income. I'll tell you what, I don't think at this point I'll ever walk away from my driving job. I really don't think so. I really don't think so, because we've already experienced the full-time music living, and now we're going back to where she's taking over again with the shows and the bookings. Hence, that's how we got our Christmas guitar show, and that's ticket sales. And she's doing some serious looking into multiple avenues of streaming live, where you get on and you do have to pay for it, because it's hard to sell tickets and then stream it live for free, because it's cool for people who can't come down here in Florida. But for the people who are down here in Florida, why should they buy a ticket when they get on for free? You know what I mean? And so that's just, you know, that's just, which makes sense. That's how that is. But yeah, so you'd be surprised with these driving jobs how many musicians really do have them. And I tell a lot of my musician friends and kids that are younger, don't screw up your driving record. Whatever you do, don't. Try not to. Really, try not to. Because you never know later on in life if that is going to be your ticket to help save you from, financial disaster. And there's a lot of people, or I shouldn't say a lot, there are some that they get themselves really feeling like, how can I say, they failed because they had to go back to another source of income. Anyone tells you that, I would turn that person off in a heartbeat, because you know when you're going to fail is when you're out in the streets. That's when you fail, you know. And it's too bad that more and more people don't be a little bit more on the leveling plane, you know what I mean? And stop feeding pipe dreams down people's throats, you know. But anyways, they'll have to figure that out. You know, I'm very happy and very proud of what I do, and I'm blessed and I like it, you know. And that's what I mean. I won't walk away from it, because Deb and I know the end result, what it always comes down to. You know, it's interesting. I told this to this young kid. I said, we all, when we're young, aspire to be full-time musicians because, we're guitar players, right? How cool would that be, right? Okay. You could be the best guitar player, and it's not just the fact that everything is saturated. It's also the fact of, people playing the little games of trying to keeping you out. Okay, so you know how you got to work your way around that. But it's still like a dream come true, this, that, and the other. But as hard as it is, there's a way you could come in through the back door by funding it yourself. Because, like Joe Winston, he drives. We all, a lot of times, it's hard work. And let me tell you something. Joe works real hard, because all those hours of driving, plus what you got to do, is not easy. So don't think, you're sitting down, you got a cush job. Until you do it, you don't know. You know what I mean? But what this does is, for instance, what I was going to say is that and I told this kid, the icky day job that people want to get away from never really seem to play the games as much as, entertainment or this, that, and the other, anything that has to do with that. They'll play more games that way than the job. Because if you're a good worker and they know they need you, boom, you're going to be there. But you see, the problem is with music, it's a cesspool. It's saturated. So they really don't need you, but they need your money as a customer, see? So always remember that one. But my point I'm trying to make here is, don't be embarrassed if you have to do this, that, and the other. So. But anyways, yeah, there is 4 of us came down here on one bus, and then we got to take 3 back. And they're supposed to meet us here in the parking lot tomorrow. And it took us about 8 hours, maybe 8.5 hours, And the funny thing is, these charter buses, they're rated, it'll say on the speedometer, they could go 85 miles an hour. The fastest they'll go is about 65, 66. That's as fast as they'll go. Because when I was driving, because we were taking turns driving, when I was driving it, I had to pedal to the metal to get around this guy, and I couldn't get around him, And then, of course, we had to stay in the right lane. And eventually he got off, wasn't 75, it was Interstate 10. We took 75 all the way up to Interstate 10, and then we got off at 319, something like that. When you're taking turns, yeah, you have to be pretty decent following. Yeah, that's true, Joe. That on YouTube to make any real money. And here's the thing, Joe. I don't know if you've seen this, but I've seen this. Now this is about 5 weeks, 6 weeks ago. So maybe they altered it, or maybe they just took it down, because some of us caught it and we saw it, where they're going to give you a 24%. Actually, another guy who is actually, his video is he helps people, content creators. He gives them advice about what to do, say this, that, and the other, and how to get your channel to grow, all this, that, and the other. But he even says a 24% tax on the income. So Um, I'm not really a big fan of just relying on it. I really could care less because Deb and I, we have other ways of making money. And, like I said before, at a gig where it's hardly anybody there and hardly any tips, hardly any, I could still make more money than if I, the whole month of, in a whole month on YouTube or however they make the payoff. So see, I don't really take it serious. And another thing is, they could do what they want. It's, they're the ones that are controlling it. But I would never trust any type of platform or any type of employment, because basically that's what it is, if you want to call it that, source of money where they got the control of, how much you're going to make, no matter how hard you work, they control. Who knows, this month, if you do this, that, and the other, okay, you can make some money. Next month, you do the exact same thing, plus some, and you get more views, this, that, and the other, and then they decide to, drop your pay, because they just, I don't like that. I don't like that. So, and I know they got competition, and I think they're starting to realize it. So it's only a matter of time for other people to say, you know what, this isn't working out here, but I know how to do this, so I'm going to leave this company, and then I'll go over here, and then I'll, start this company from the ground up, and maybe we could get this up and going. So it's only a matter of time. It's not a matter of if. So. Yeah, something that I'll never see, but that's why I have a real. Yeah, Joe. See, you're smart. You're smart. I'm telling you. Yep. Yeah. Even Deb says you're smart. I have friends in sales that would love to get a CDL, but can't due to DUI. Keep options open with a clean driving record. Yeah, Deb. Yeah, hon. You got to. We know this, but it's as common sense as this is. It gets pushed as a last resort, and when it gets pushed out of the mind, and it's only a last resort, it gets overlooked, and the hope of doing this, that, and the other. And there's always a hope, and it's always good to keep your hopes and dreams up. Don't get me wrong. We have that. That's what keeps us going in that. But it's much better that you could be in control than someone else. And if it's someone else you don't know, or someone else you got to kind of have like another eyeball watching them, something's gonna give, especially if you're a creative person. It's, and not everyone, some of us can handle it, some of us can't. It's just the way it is. If you fall in that category where you need to reach out and get someone that you could trust to help you, by all means do that. Because you're only one man with two hands. God only gave me two hands, that's it. And there's only 24 hours in a day. And that's why I'm glad Deb's, come back to, really help out with the gigs, because it's very easy to forget something. Very, very easy. Because you see, you're the performer. And when you're playing, they're looking at you. They're not looking at your calendar. They don't care, what phone call you made. It's that moment in time. So you have to pick and choose. And that's just how that works. I'll tell you what, this is a pretty nice hotel, man. This reminds me, Deb, when we were in Arizona, when we did the gig for the Hopi Indian tribe, and we stayed at the hotel. It was kind of nice like that. Yeah. But yeah, see, yeah, Joe is smart. Joe is very, very smart. You know, um, and if you can, we always say this: if a person can make some substantial amount of money with the music, keep in mind that could be very, very short lived, and keep in mind you gotta put a lot of that money aside to be prepared. Because see, another thing is, I do agree with this, because this is how this is, and it is refreshing to rotate, musicians and bands and different styles. It is kind of healthy, because it does keep the music overall. It helps try to keep it fresh. It really does. You know. So, and it's not anything that's personal. It's just that, okay, you had your time here, so we have someone else their time, this, that, and the other. See, you will have some really decent, honest people, because not everybody is a sneaky snake. You know, you just got to be wise enough to notice the sneaky snakes, and then just learn how to avoid them. Because you see, here's the reality with a sneaky snake: you won't have to say or do anything to them to retaliate. Actually, it's best not to. And I know sometimes I get a little hot-headed, and I know. But then when when I'm in that moment and Deb reminds me of certain things, it always when I'm laying in bed at night and I'm reflecting on it, she's always right, because then when I get that thought out of my mind, it's completely out of my mind, and then it gets overtaken by something that's looking the outlook of something positive. You know, creating music. I'll tell you what, creating is really nice because your mind gets absorbed with in the creation process, and then all the negative stuff just gets booted out. And it's almost really good therapy. You know, and now that I brought that up, a lot of people think that everything that they got to write is always a masterpiece and to outdo what they did last time. Well, I guess from a sales point of view, better than last year's model. Okay, I can understand that. Um, but then at the same time, don't let it override your mind so much that now the creativity starts to get squeezed and killed and pushed and this, that, and the other. Because the reality is that what you think is not good right now, later down the road, you look back and like, man, that sounds pretty good. I kind of like it. I guess if I were to give someone advice on like songwriting, well, Dave, what do you know about songwriting? You don't sing. Well, as instrumentals, without music, it's just like, I forget what they call that. You know, it's just singing, which is fine. You got a voice to carry, absolutely. But just because there's no words does not mean it's a song. That is not a song, because it is. It's music. Music without words is actually more music. Music with words is just like a little bit of icing on cake. There's something for everybody. Um, but what I'm trying to get at is, if you feel what you're doing and it's coming out like it flows, there's no hiccups, and even after let's say you post a video and then you get like 20 thumbs down and you get a half a thumb up, and everyone's bashing you, this, that, and the other, but you got one person that says, you know what, I feel what you're doing, and if you feel it, keep going. Because what a naysayer is not going to understand, especially if they're not performing, and let's say you do perform, when you go out on that stage to play, even if it's two people there, and you go out to play, and what you're doing, it feels like second nature. It just flows right out of you. It's music. It's music. So the 20 people that maybe gave you a thumbs down and doesn't like like that particular piece of that video or that song or whatever, well, just give it time. Leave the video up. Because eventually someone's going to like it, and then if it starts to get 20 plus people liking, and now it goes to 40 plus, this, that, and the other, I think it's going to override the naysayers. And let the naysayers have their opinion. I mean, that's, everyone has their opinion, absolutely. But don't let it get you so down that you think that you suck, and then you got to start spending money on songwriting classes, only if you want to. And if you want to get some insight, nothing wrong with that. That's great. But you got to remember, you have to feel it first, because if you don't feel it, it could match every aspect of a music theory perspective. The melody fits here, the harmonization fits here, it's fitting this chord progression, it's in this key. When you're changing keys, theoretically, everything is moving right. That's great theoretically. I'll 100% say that. But if a person can't feel it, then there's definitely something wrong, And if you as a performer can't feel it, that's even worse, because you got to convince your product is good. And the thing is, when people see the passion in your playing, they see it in your expression on your face, the way you're playing or the way you're singing something, and they see that passion, those people are out there. They're going to tell their friends, and that's how things start to grow. Could you imagine where we would be if half of the great stars of old did not act on their own their own mindset, their own what they were hearing in their head, what they were feeling, if they suppressed it, got all stuffy with it, they'd flop. They would miserably flop because you see, a creative person will always want to move forward and project that energy and project all that creativity, you know. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, and allows us to play at other venues to laugh out loud. Exactly. That's right, Deb. This is the magic. This is the magic, you know. Here's the thing. When I talk to musicians, you know, I see them at Guitar Center, right? Or any music store. A lot of times you see them at Guitar Center because they go, I want to go in. The people that go in, like over at Educators Music, to me, they're more serious about actually buying something and actually learning something. Because Educators Music, Chris has got that store set up where you're there as a musician or you want to be a musician, you know. The Guitar Center is that in a way, and now they're offering the classes. Okay, that's fine, but you know, someone like Chris with Educators Music, he had that for as long as I've known that he's been in business. So his niche is not just selling product, but it's also the education. That's why it's called Educators Music. And I think that is absolutely brilliant. And then his wife, they have the bakery / the bakery cafe that also sells liquor. They have the liquor license. It's absolutely brilliant. And they have the artwork. It's brilliant. So when people walk in there, you know, you're going to expect them to, okay, you know, they're going to be on the artistic side, you know. And you'll still get some of the people that play in, you know, if it's a tribute band or cover band, well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's great because we do need that to keep things going. But when I run into these people that play with these tribute bands at Guitar Center, and they'll, you know, we'll sit down and we'll jam out, you know, and then they'll say, wow, that's cool, man. And then they'll play and they're really great, you know, have the jam session with them. And man, they're just, you can tell their heart is into what they're playing at the music store, you know. And then they'll say, well, it'd be kind of cool, but you know, you got to play with the people who want to hear this, that, and the other. I only half agree to that. And the reason why I'm going to say I only half agree to that, yes, there is a clientele that want to hear their radio songs. See, they're really not into music like we are, but they're really good people, and they have their likingness and their style of music that they love. Okay, God bless them. But what happens is when everyone wants to predict, that's what everybody likes, everybody on YouTube, all of us, Joe Wentz, myself, Jim Guidry, we hate metal, right? Because metal's not popular anymore. What's the popular thing? Oh, we're gonna go into hip hop and rap. Or, oh no, Taylor Swift's got a new song, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is, the reality is, not everybody is into that. And I would love to be able to put this proof and performance and perspective live. But see, everyone's got to come out and do this because I can't just be by myself, you know? I'm only one man. And when Deb comes out, she's only one woman, just the two of us. But could you imagine if everybody everywhere that's on YouTube that loves guitar music, absolutely loves guitar music, and they get an idea that their friend comes and plays at the local bar, and they start requesting, hey, could you play that song that you played on YouTube? I think that was one of your own originals. And I'm talking, now you get like 10 people come in. And you got 5 people that just want to hear, you know, the covers. There's nothing wrong with it. Do the covers, it's fine. But then the 10 people, they're buying, they're tipping. Don't you think that club owner is not going to take notice of that? I'll tell you what, in a heartbeat he will. He or she will. Now, could you imagine if you did that kind of like, I don't know, so no one goes broke or everything, maybe once a month, you know, have the friends come out, you know, the old high school friends. Hey, you know, remember when we used to go to Bill Dolson's house and we'd crank up the Van Halen 1 album? Hey, you know, since we're all Van Halen fans, if we can't find, we'll put a Van Halen tribute band together, okay? Those of us that play, and those of us who like it, we're in the area, right? We'll see if we get a gig, you know, at the Do Drop In that, you know, says, no, you got to do this, that, and the other. But then you come in and you bring all these people. the guy at the Do Drop In that says, nope, this, we'll only do country and western here, and you happen to come in to respect the place, you happen to come in, let's say, I don't know, on a Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon, right? Just to test the waters. And the Do Drop In had the country on Friday and the western on Saturday. So they got two styles of music. And, Friday was a sold out show of, let's say, 15 people. Saturday they had 17 people. But you come in with this idea, and because it's been away for a while, now you get all your friends together and you find out you bring in 50 people. And after the club owner, and on top of it, so I'm really trying to paint maybe a utopia, I guess, I don't know. But it's not impossible. See, people have got to kind of like think this out and be imaginative, think outside the box. So you go in and you say, okay, we're on our 50s now, right? Those of us that graduated in 1981, at 17 years old, I don't think we're 17 years old anymore, right? So now everyone's older, and, we all played in the metal bands and with the full stacks, this, that, and the other, and heavy amp, tube amps, but now we got the small stuff, and the small stuff works, and we're still able to rock out at a nice volume, but we're still able to rock out. And then all of a sudden, people start noticing, this is great, man. I love this music. When we were Friday at Junglebird in Cape Coral, and it was I forget what song after it was, the guy came up. And he comes up like, dude, you played we played some Doc and George Lynch. Oh my God, I haven't heard that in a long time. That was awesome. And then he walks away to the drum. And then you played Gordon Lightfoot. You had them back to back, My point is that, and I'm not singing, he recognized it, he heard it, the way he came up. I don't know that guy from Adam. He was sincere. He was very, very sincere. And you get a lot of people that are like that. They're going to be very sincere. I'm not saying to just totally get rid of all the other things that's going on, but like Deb said, how we do what we do with our multiple sources of income, it affords us to be able to take all these risks and chances, so-called risks and chances musically. Okay, everyone knows I can't sing, I don't sing, I have no interest in singing, That's just me. So I let the guitar sing. And I'm not embarrassed to have, Deb's clamping, maybe someone else. But see, it's always later on, if they're like in the back, you don't hear them. And some people, I'm going to tell you another thing is, they want to go, yeah, that was awesome. But if they see that the crowd is like sitting at the bar talking, they don't really care. They might feel a little bit embarrassed if they go, yeah, That's just how some people are like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's the conversations I have with these people that's putting everything that we're doing proof, one after another, after another, after another, after another. I know for a fact what I do is not going to please everybody, but see, I'm not trying to please everybody. I'm trying to bring back the days where there was a crowd for what I do, and they will come out because see, now they know there's someone that's going to play something that they like, or a style of music that they like. And now they come out and they tell their friends, they're like, wow, this is great, we don't hear this anymore, or no one's doing this, and and then they'll go and they'll sit with their friends and they'll watch this band and that band, and that's great because you want to keep the live music scene going, but at the same time you want to really have a real music scene at the same time, something that there's like it used to be. And I know it will never be like it used to be because of all our technology that we have. And then another thing with the DUI laws and people who do have CDL license or are thinking about getting a CDL, and if they feel that they cannot curb their appetite for alcohol and they decide not to go out, they're doing that so they don't get themselves in trouble. And I give them a lot of credit for that. It does hurt the industry a little bit, but it's better that they don't get themselves hurt and dinged. You know what I mean? So you get to sit home and watch YouTube. So this is what I mean. It is different. I forget who it was. I saw a video where I don't know. I think it was one of the guys from Oasis made a comment that social media has ruined music, and you know everything is kind of a catch-22, and I agree with him to a certain degree because he made a comment. His own daughters don't know what an album is. They don't know what a CD is. Yeah, he brought some like art, CD art, and album work art. Remember back in the days we buy the album, and a lot of times if we had another place to put that record album, we were able to take the artwork and tape it to the wall and this that, and the other because it was artwork. I guess that's what he does. And his daughter asked him, "Well, why do you want to do that? What's that?" She didn't understand. She really did not understand, and you know that in conjunction with how difficult it is to make money compared to you know 10, 20 years ago. We would sell our CDs. How about it, Deb? We'd sell our CDs and we were signing our CDs, and it was great. We have a price to sell. They like our music. They're buying it. You know what I mean? And our friend Ken Hawk made a comment about maybe one day everything's gonna go to an SD card or download. Let's see. I think Joe Wins. Which do you think would be more successful in today's world? An actual band or a solo musician? Joe, as it stands right now, what makes it easier for the solo musician to be a little more successful, it's easier to travel. The cost of traveling is a lot easier. You don't have to bring out as much gear with a whole band, and therefore you're able to save that much money. You don't have to rent out such a big room. And what I mean by that is because you need a bigger stage, like a bigger boat, right? Because of X amount of gear and X amount of people that's going to be on stage. I'm not saying a band could not be successful, It's as it stands like right now. That's where a lot of things have gone. When Deb and I, all the road shows we did, it was just Deb and I doing those. And another thing is, well, this is just stylistically. Maybe I should. I'll just mention this, and everyone could do really what they want, because you do want to play what's in your heart, But just to give this comparison, all of those gigs we've done, all our road shows was based off of the style of music I play. They liked my music. They could care less that I sang or didn't sing. They could care less about covers. They liked my music. And there's something that needs to be said about that. It's if you could believe enough in yourself and you got the skill for what you are shooting for. You don't have to be a supersonic shredder. That's just icing on the cake. You have to, as an instrumentalist, you also, in my humble opinion, have to understand how to play melodically and let the guitar be the vocal. Let the guitar sing. At some point, you really do, because that's what's making the connection. The shredding has to be 100% from the heart. You really mean it. Because in my opinion, when you play fast, it's a moment of excitement. So all elements of that has to be right there. The notes got to be precise. I mean, when you play those notes, man, you got to mean those notes. They got to be tough. They got to be strong. They got to come at you like, man, you just opened up the Tommy gun and boom, those bullets are coming at you. Because that is the expression that you're trying to convey. It'd be like a track runner on the Olympics running, but yet his mind's not there. So he goes through it. He's no energy. A no energy runner is not going to really win the Olympics, right? So that's how I kind of associate the speed bursts, and that's why I like speed bursts mixed with melodies, because for me, these are things I'm hearing in my head. So rather trying to learn every single new technique that comes out to impress people, if I don't feel it, well, why should I do it? It's not that I don't have the ability to learn how to do it and or do it. It's not there. It's not being felt. And the thing is, what a lot of people got to understand, if everyone's doing the exact same thing, well, there's no uniqueness anymore, you know? Um, but anyways, Joe, I hope that does answer your question. Yeah, a lot of hits were on B sides of records. Exactly. Do you know? Don't you find this strange? Not only in music but in movies, what's considered a B movie becomes a cult classic. Night of the Living Dead, right? Done on a budget, shoestring budget. There's one part in that movie where the one zombie that's coming in from the back door where that girl's sitting there, he's sneaking in trying to get at her, and I forget that black guy's name, Ben, I think it was. He kills the zombie. The zombie's laying there. He's gonna drag him out. You see the zombie, the actor playing the zombie, actually moves his eyes. They were on a very, very tight budget. They couldn't constantly reshoot. But the point is, it became all these decades later, it became a cult classic. The movie Jaws, they were on a tight schedule. Half the time, the mechanical shark wasn't working. I think they forgot that they were shooting in salt water, and that salt water it actually messes up with the cables, it messes up with some of the electronics, and the poor shark would be just floating there. Couldn't get the thing going. And when you got, especially with a movie like that, because when you're anywhere out in the water, and let's say you gotta get with the Coast Guard, you gotta do this, that, and the other, you have permits, this, that, and the other. There's time, it's time based. It's time based. So sometimes you gotta kind of hurry up, but they become called classics, just like with music, you know. Um, I'm gonna admit I'm not really a huge Beatles fan. I respect them, but I'm not a huge Beatles fan. But I do respect the fact that Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band was recorded on a 4-track, granted a reel to reel, but it was, again, going back to, if you're creative, they were able to get it to work because they were creative. And see, this is the thing what I like with older technology. It forces you to pull your imagination out. If everything's spoon fed to you, why would you want to, have all these? They're nice when things are tight, but when you have a home studio, um, like for us, we don't use Pro Tools now. Unless Deb wants to get into that, that's fine, because she's good with that stuff. You know, I really long for the days when tape machines really do come back strong, because they were so easy. And it's not that I could care less about. I do like technology, but like I've said before, I'm a performer, and for me, it's either do I, let my chops go down the toilet, but Friday and Saturday I gotta play. I'm not gonna be playing, gear. Or doing a lecture on gear, or this digital recorder, or a Pro Tool. I'm gonna be playing. So for me, I gotta focus on that. And for me, what helps me is a knob. I can turn it. It's done. I don't have to, fiddle faddle around with it. To me, that's a total waste of time. A total waste of time. You know, I really think. Well, I will say this. Since I opened up this Pandora box, Tascam did come out with the Model 12, Model 16, and Model 24 digital recorder with like an analog mixer with all knobs. All knobs. That's beautiful. That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. And make it as simple. When you take the SD card, you want to format the SD card, you push the button that says yes. Don't put an icon of a monkey sucking his thumb or something. I don't know what that means. Make things as simple for us musicians as possible, because there are a lot of us out there that we do not embrace all that. We don't embrace computer language and that. That's good for some, that's not for us. But because there are also a lot of people like us, we also have money. So this is why I'm glad that Tascam did this, and I totally forgot about that. They came out with that model. Um, if and I've said this before, so I'm maybe beating a dead horse. If I was any type of a guitar builder, pedal builder, whatever, everything that I would do, especially now, let's say if I decide to quit performing and put all my energy in building something, a guitar, especially a guitar, the first thing would come to my mind is how can I make everything work from a performer's point of view? Not a collector's point of view, a performer's point of view. For instance, string breakage. That's my biggest issue. Biggest issue. And I do know I saw a video that I think this came out 2019. Wilkinson came out with his version of a locking trem that there's no tuners, and you don't need a locking nut, and it kind of locks the string in where you don't have to cut the ball end off. That's good, but if the ball end is here and the string is sitting on the saddle there, how much is that locking that to the point where there's not wiggle? That's what I like about the Floyd system. Excuse me. And Floyd system also came out with a non-fine tuner locking bridge. Look it up. It's a non-fine tuner locking bridge. Just like if you put in a Stratocaster, I think it has the 2 posts, not the 6. No fine tuners, but it locks. I like that idea. I really wish that really wish Floyd Rose would come up with, let's say, string through like this little telly. Occasionally pop strings, but it's not too bad to change, But even come out with saddles that lock. And the reason why I'm saying this is because when you have the saddles that lock, you only have that much of a string. That's a hard 90. No wiggle room, no wiggle. Every Floyd guitar I have that I've played with all my picking exercise, playing out in the heat, this, that, and the other, I don't break strings. So there's something that needs to be said with that type of technology. And even when you go in the studio, the last thing you need to do is pop a string, and now everything gets interrupted. Your creativity, flow gets interrupted, everything's interrupted. And I know what people are going to say out there, and I know there's people in there, the experts, but see, all their advice, I've tried. I have the string saver saddles. They do seem to work, but not as much as that idea of having just that much of a string lock into that saddle. And if you have a heavy hand, if it'll say, well, maybe you need to play softly. Why should I have to play softly if there is a potential solution to this problem? Now, I'm not saying, kill the guitar or anything like that. But even when I'm doing these rhythms, if I'm doing a rhythm, I like playing that because it has a very percussive way, and it's part of my style, and it's very musical for what I do. So why should I have to, use real light pick and not really get into it, and then still run the risk of popping strings? So that's what I would do if I was a builder. Every piece of hardware on that guitar would be with the thought of a performer in mind. Playing in the hottest weather outside, you don't have to be touring. I'm only gonna say this because they mean well. They mean well. They're busy people. They don't have the time to research who's all out there. But even if you play in a cover band and you're playing, let's say, on an average, 3 nights a week, and on average, let's say, for 8 months out of the year, You mean to tell, and you're doing 3 sets, 3 to 4 sets every time you play. Do you mean to tell me you're not putting that gear to just as much, if not more, stress and hard use as a touring band? Are you kidding me? It doesn't matter if you're touring or not. You're using it. This is what I mean. I have a hard time agreeing with some of these people that that's the only thing that they think of, and they're selling a product. See, that's how I would approach it. Maybe it's nice to have the superstars come by. Yeah, Dave, I see you quit playing, blah, now you're making gear, you're building guitars, whatever, that's cool, gimme, okay. You know, I'm not in business to give stuff away, you know? It's nice to help to promote the name, but what is really going to promote the name is the actual use of everyday Joes out there. See, this is why Hartley Peavy was very successful. He was very, very successful because he came in from not only the back door, he came in through that back door where all the hard-working blue-collar people were. And all those hard-working blue-collar people were the ones buying the gear. And he saw that. And he seized that moment, jumped on it to develop products for not cheap, like you said, it's not cheap, but it's affordable. So people could go out there and play and get the job done. And that's why, things are a lot different now. I get it, I understand, okay? But to prove the point of that theory, I'm using Peavy as a great example. Anybody who's been playing music in the late 70s, early 80s, right in the heart when Peavy was really starting to get the momentum of getting product out there for the, working musician, people that could afford it. I'll call it blue collar musician. Do you know what some of the other people, especially in the metal circuit, would say? Oh, that's never sound like a Marshall. And they were right. But if you're creative, you knew how to get a sound out of those special 130 amps and those bandits if you were creative. But isn't it ironic that all that, and I remember the bashing because I was there, man. Because I was one of the guys that, other than my old Marshall Plexi, which I didn't know what I had because I was young and stupid. But I was heavily into fusion, jazz fusion. The Marshall didn't give me the sound, the Peavy did, so there you go. And the Peavy worked, no problems. But the people that wanted the Marshall sound and was into the metal, only metal, nothing else, would frown down so bad. And I remember going to the rehearsals and some of the auditions and that, bringing my special 130, and everyone's got their Marshall half stack or full stack, frowning down on me like I'm poor. But they wanted me in their band because I could play. But I didn't have this, that, and the other. I couldn't afford all that. So, all those years go by, and then when Eddie Van Halen teamed up with Hartley Peavy in the first run of the 5150, it turned heads. And when it turned heads where it was something that was going to last, even after Eddie Van Halen left Peavy, Hartley Peavy continued on and it became the 6505. And a whole slew of metalheads were coming in. And it was no more, well, it's only I could afford a Peavy over the Marshall or the Mesa. It became the Peavy's seems to be having this certain tone for the modern metal. And if you were to tell any of us back in 1983, 84, that the Peavy was going to be the strong contender between Marshall and Mesa Boogie, and I know there might be people who are laughing out there, but hey, look at all these metal bands. You'll see a 6505 or a 5150 Peavy. That says it all right there. My point is that his strategy worked. So that's what I mean. That's how I would approach the stature. And all the years of playing live, I know what I went through. I can't talk on anyone else's behalf because I don't have their hands, I have my hands. I don't sweat like you, I sweat like I do. You know what I mean? But it's basically summed up in the same, you know, melting pot there. A lot of us performers, we need things that are going to work day in, day out. Simplicity, cut through chase, get to the point. Fancy to me, and to a lot of people I've talked to that think the way I think, the fancy screens and all that is nice. It's nice. It has a place in the studio. It will work on live. I'm not saying it won't. But nothing will beat grabbing a knob and turning it and getting the job done instantly. You know, cut through the chase, get to the point, boom, done. Because when you're playing live, nanoseconds count. That's how it is. So that's just my humble opinion, my perspective on that. So let's say, yeah. It depends on the venue, music budget of venue. See, that's another thing. See, everything as Deb is saying, buckle us to a lot of, yeah. And what else Deb's saying? The B-sides have been awesome songs. Exactly. How about it, Deb? How many times we remember with the albums? The song that's on the radio is okay. You kind of like that. That's interesting. Then you buy the album, and then you play the B-side or the songs that never get played on the radio, and they just kick ass. When you go see them live, that's what you want. How many times have you heard Iron Maiden played on the radio? Especially back in the heyday. You have. But when you go to the concert and you see the other songs that they have, you know what I mean? How many times for, shredders, have you heard Yngwie Malmsteen on the radio other than Queen is in Love or You Don't Remember, I'll Never Forget, kind of the poppy stuff? But then we go to the concert, he usually opens up with Rising Force, or Steve Vai. How many times have you heard Steve Vai on the radio? I'm not talking XM radio, I'm talking mainstream radio. When Deb and I were doing all our road shows, no matter what radio station we went to, the love songs are nice. They're nice. But please give us something. So we're driving, 8 hours or something, drive 10 hours, something that's going to keep us up. So we could, drive, not fall asleep and crash into a ditch. They think we don't exist out there. That's the big. Okay. You're like, okay, I don't know what happened. Update started. Oh God, what is this? Yeah. Hey Joe, are you on Gig Salad? Deb is asking. I gotta back down and see what else Deb is. Old Man Dan, what's happening, brother? You totally rock, my friend. Old Man Dan, I'm glad that you're doing the shows that you're doing, because I actually love them. A lot of times, well, if we're driving, you can't be watching a lot of stuff, right? But we're working on our Christmas show, and we got a show Friday. Which our Christmas show is the ticket sales, but my point is, see, Old Man Dan plays, and he plugs in and he plays. That's the magic. And Old Man Dan, I'm still subscribed to your channel. Things that you say, none of that offends me. So trust me, brother. Trust me. You're all right in my book. But I'm glad that you move forward, man. You move forward. You stick to your guns, man. Don't let anybody bully you off, man. Watch and see. It's only a matter of time. And when people do see what's going on and they wake up, they say, I agree with this guy, or I don't agree with this guy, but he's entitled to his opinion, or I like the way this guy plays. See, people are going to start to look for things that as they really are, not like, I don't like this guy, so I'm not going to, you can have the advice that would help a person avoid financial disaster. But because maybe you said something or they don't like the way you play, they completely turn you off, knowing that you do have knowledge in what they need. But because they don't like you, They turn you off, and they're going to spend money on someone that really does not have a whole lot of experience, and they're wasting their money. And then they get on YouTube, months later, and they complain. I spent all this money, and I thought this, that, and the other, and I know there's somebody, but I like this guy, but he doesn't know what he's talking about. You could like somebody, but if their product or their advice is not really what you're looking for, it doesn't mean you got to buy that advice. You know what I mean? But I mean, people do what they want. It's their money. It's their money. But I see it, and I'm like, okay, let them do what they want because it's their money. But then later on, down the road, here comes the complaining, and the boo-hooing. Yeah, old man Dan, I know you're still in Colorado. Let's see. Yeah, Deb says we're booked every Friday and Saturday in August. Football season will start soon, and that could change September bookings, but no worries. That's when I focus on venues that don't focus on sports. Exactly. Exactly. See, this is what has helped me because Deb's mindset is there is no problems, there's solutions, and we find a solution. And I'm not gonna go into any detail on who wants to say this, that, and the other, and they don't return a phone call, and they say this, that, and the other. We move forward. We go this way. If what I do is not their criteria, that's fine. I'm not gonna cry about the bed over it. Some people like a blue guitar. Some people like a red guitar. Some people it doesn't matter. But it's when they do the BSing, see, then here comes the distrust. But that's okay. They do what they want because the mistake that they make is they think that they're the only gig in town and they want to see you crawl, and when you don't and you say okay, have a good day, and you go this way, and they're like totally out of sight, out of mind, and you keep moving forward, these people deep down inside, they can't help themselves. It's only a matter of time before they try to throw a stumbling block in your way because they can't see you moving forward. They can't see you being successful. They want you to be successful on what they say or have you do because of them. And they're the ones that will like close the door in your face, invite you in, and they close the door in your face. Okay, so we go the other way. We don't wish them any harm, but we go the other way, and they can't figure it out. And you know what usually happens with these people? You don't have to do anything to retaliate because they're gonna do it to themselves. You know what I mean? And then when it's like a little teeter-totter, little by little, it starts to go down the toilet, 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 and then they wonder why. Well, instead of them trying to put a monkey wrench in front of everybody to trip everybody over, maybe they should just be a little bit honest and say, hey, look, right now we're going to do country and western music, so we're going to take a break from what you're doing, but, we got you on our calendar, our Rolodex, we'll stay in touch, because we still want to have that friendship, and we still appreciate what you're doing, we want to try something, no problem, that's fine. You do what you want because that's your facility. But you see what I mean? So this is why I like Deb's approach to everything, because it really says, okay, let's go in this direction, and when we do, that's another reason how we're able to get so many gigs. And think about it. A solo instrumental guitar can be very, very difficult to sell to some people, but others who start to hear it and they start to like it, they start to realize that's what we've been missing. We don't know what it's called. We'll give it a shot. Let's try. And they're like, hey, this is really cool. I like this. Now, I don't know if I mentioned, we did order some in-ear monitors from the company X5. Did a little research on it. So they'll be coming in, and obviously, there's a violinist. I think he's called the Violin Shop. Kind of younger guy, maybe in his 50s, kind of rocked out looking. But when he plays violin with his band that they tour with, I mean, he made a comment that the in-ear monitors that they use, I don't know what the name of his band is, but the in-ear monitor systems that they use, the transmitter and the receiver was $1,500, and the headphones, the earbuds, was another $1,000. So if we do the math, that's $2,500 per person. So let's say you have a small orchestra. Let's say you got a 6-piece or even a 7-piece. 2,500 times 7. Do the math. You know what I mean? Now, if you don't need that type of range, or the venues you're playing is smaller, then you could go with something smaller that's going to work for you. So what's going to be nice with this in-ear system, Deb could still have the speakers facing out toward the audience, and when she needs to bring them down, she could bring them down, and I'm still going to hear everything, which is great, because then it's not going to start these uneven, volume spikes and this, that, and the other. Because there are certain people that they just naturally talk loud. You can turn the volume down, so maybe their voice will come down, and it doesn't. The voice gets even louder, and that's just the way that is. So, we should be getting those in sometime this week, maybe tomorrow. And that'll be cool, And then we'll do a live stream, and I'll let people, know how it's been working, with the in-ear monitor, especially as the shows continue, because time tells all, right? And then I'll be able to give a full, review on how it works for a solo musician. Because sometimes for me, it's very hard to find these product demos for what I'm doing. It's like, okay, maybe I gotta be the one to do it. I don't know, because it's very, very difficult. Because a lot of people, they'll do a post-production, or they'll say it's good to do with this, that, and the other, and none of them are doing what I'm doing. So it's like, it doesn't even apply to me. So I could only base on what it sounds like on the video, but then when we go to buy the product, I gotta hear it. Now, the Boss ME80, we ordered that from Sweetwater, and based off the ME70 and the ME50, the ME80 is definitely different, but it works. I was still able to pull out my sound. And like I said, I know there's people that really don't like that, and that's fine, they don't have to, But I've seen it also, YouTube videos of people spending all this money on the Helix, and the Helix is a great product. I did try one. I was definitely very impressed. I cannot say I was blown away. And the reason why, I could not get into all of its features to see how it would work, how I would use it. The Boss GT1000 gave me more of a wow factor than the Helix, because there was extra elements that I would use at my live shows. However, what I did hear with the Helix was very impressive. Now, the only reason why I'm saying that, people, if that's what you want, go ahead and buy it. It's a great product. If you got the money, go ahead. But see, like I said before, I don't buy things based on popularity. I buy it because, Deb and I, what we're gonna use it for us. And this is why I mean, with going back to like analog and digital and knobs and that, what is nice with gear that have deemed less features, less amp sims, less cabinet sims, less this, that, and the other, it forces you to bring the best of your creativity out. There used to be an old saying, create, don't imitate. But see, now it's imitate, don't create. Because everything's got to be modeled after this and modeled after that, and that's great, that's fine. And you see, it's again what's called the penguin effect. One product comes out, it's successful, everybody jumps the bandwagon. Nothing wrong with trying that, but when they abandon everybody else, thinking that, well, that's old school, they're going away, it's gonna die out. It didn't die out. And those are also the people that not only have bought the product and support the company, they will continue. But if the company discontinues a certain model, well, then why should we buy it? Now we go look for something else that's going to work for what we need. You see, it's a big mistake that people, and it's, it comes down to trying to predict what everyone's going to like. You can't do that. You could a little bit you can. And I understand it's a budget thing, but to 100%, you know, say no one's interested in that product anymore, well, then you will lose that audience and they will go somewhere else, because some people, they're not going to embrace certain things. If it's too complicated, no one wants to have a headache, you know? Okay. For every no we get, every no we get, we're getting closer to yes. Stay positive. Absolutely. Yeah, that's Yellow Oceans and original songs. What is happening? It's in your name, Yellow Oceans and original songs. And it's interesting how you came up after Deb's comment. For every no we get, we're getting closer to a yes. Stay positive. Sometimes what is deemed as negative is what's going to build you up and give you that push to go positive, because you figure things out, and it just kind of gives you that incentive. All right, Deb watches the Olympics a lot. Her sister Donna was training for the U.S. Olympics ice skating, and this is what, back in the early '80s, mid '80s, and all the training, and it becomes a way of life, my friends. Because when I saw the videos of Donna doing those spins, you could tell instantly this girl trained, and it wasn't just for a week or two. It was like years. It was a way of life. The focus factor, you know. So with that, when I watch the Olympics, the first thing I get out of all this, and I'm practicing, I'll come out of the studio room and watch a little bit and go back in and practice. But I always look at all these athletes, their eyes, especially when it's something that's very complex. A lot of it is in its own right, but then there's certain routines that are, when you get these girls doing, the gymnastics, flip-flopping all over the place, and like Donna doing the ice skating and jumping, there's precision. And especially if they have to do it with music, now it becomes precision with artistic. When you see, when they do a close-up on their face just before they go on, look at their eyes, look at the amount of focus. That's going to tell you, chances are, their routine is to be near, if not perfect, because it's that focus factor. So I always say this with my friends, because when I was younger, when the Bruce Lee movies were popular, everybody was taking kung fu lessons. I don't know where the karate places were, but they were finding them. Okay, otherwise maybe I would have gotten into martial arts. But how I approach my technique, especially when I'm in that zone, especially working on it, and Deb knows, especially with the classical guitar, is that in my mind, in a way, I'm thinking the way a person does martial arts, or like these Olympians doing all these routines, where every part of their movement is like measured mentally. So hopefully what I'm able to do, especially with the melodies, when I'm playing these melodies, and I got the amp turned off, when I'm doing a slide in and into a vibrato, I'm trying to breathe as much expression into that note so it comes alive. But you still, no matter how fast or slow you're doing it, you still have to have the focus with the fingers and the type of energy when you're striking the string. Or if you're doing something fast, a speed burst, try to do as cleanly as possible. Anyone tells you that playing slow for a long time is a waste of time, it's not going to happen, And if they tell you only try to play fast because you'll get used to the momentum, you'll get used to the momentum, but you will never have the control over what's going on. That's how you could tell the difference between fast playing and fast and precise playing. It's gonna come out. If two people are playing the exact same, tempo, beats per minute, maybe they're playing the exact same run, you know, other than everyone's gonna sound different a little bit when it comes to the precision of those notes. If a person never focused on trying to play each note as perfect as possible, we're never gonna be perfect, but you try and get as perfect as possible with the same amount of strike force on the string and the same amount of emotion backing that up. If they sit next to someone who's got that focus factor, man, they're clean, they're precise, and they mean what they do, that person is going to always stand out, even if it's someone that's super popular. Skill. Skill is skill. And what I mean by that is you could have all the popularity in the world, but if someone who doesn't and they got skill, no matter how much unpopular they are, when you measure it by skill, that person will always have more skill than the person who doesn't work on it, no matter how popular they are. And if you were to judge it on that alone, you will see a lot of people kind of, not totally disappearing, but they will take the back burner from so-called the underdog that's got the skill. And to prove that point, when you have the conversations with some of these, more popular people, they will even admit it themselves because facts will always speak for themselves, And it's kind of too bad that there's not in this day, in this generation, in this day and age where people seem to overlook that because, they want to hang on to this, that, and the other. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you really want to learn and really want to build yourself up, you gotta hang around the positive people, the people with the skill, the people that are the constant go-getters. Because you see, they will influence you. And over a course of time, that is what's going to build you up. And over a course of time, before you know it, you're going to be achieving those goals. And then, the popularity will come if that's what you want. I'm not going to lie to people and promise everyone, oh, you're going to, everyone's going to fall over you, or this, that, and the other, or give you the credit that you deserve. No, but deep down inside, and you know how you can tell? Is when you play for these people and you see their reaction, and their reaction like, whoa, you cannot fake that. And then if they back down, oh yeah, but see, this, that, and the other, and blah, 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 But for that first moment, it was real. They can't fake it. That speaks volumes over all of the negativity. So, for people that go through this, always keep that in mind. You'll know, you'll see it. And like I said, that's really what helps influence people to, build themselves up. Let's see here. Yeah, this is that. But like I said, original Yellow Oceans and original. Oh, I'm glad you are, my friend. Yellow Oceans and original songs. I'm so glad that you're sticking to that, man, because it is needed. And there's Sonia. Sonia, what is happening? Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. For anyone that writes their own music, even if a person doesn't, that's maybe not their style of music. Okay, I'm not really big on country and western, but if someone's good, they're good. I'm not gonna say anything bad about any of those people. Okay, but I could tell when someone is in that zone and when they're playing,
it's part of what influences me is seeing that, because I'm seeing their passion for what they do, and it rubs off on me because it's that passion, and that's the magic. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people see that, and that's what makes someone get drawn to you, no matter, in numbers, how big or how small. Because always remember, if you have a smaller crowd in numbers, if you're playing just to one person but they're fixed, that person really cares about what you're doing. That person matters. That's a great concert. You're in your zone. You've got total control of what you're doing, and it's moving that person. Like I said, even though it was a Dawkins song I played, the guy came up, and that was the first thing he said. He was like in his glory, because no one is doing this, because everyone's think they got to do this, that, and the other. And as good as those people are at what they do, when I talk with them at the music stores, it's like they have this other side of them that they really wish they could just bring out to the people, They might put up on a YouTube video. Some of them they don't. Some of them they don't. And a lot of it's due to, time. Don't have the time, I understand. But I can tell the passion. And when they feel like they're not able because they think no one's going to watch them, the worst thing to do is to think in terms of how many people are watching you, as opposed to the quality of that audience watching you. That audience that loves what you're doing. This is proof that if it's two people, one person, whatever, there's an interest in what you're doing. And it's not just to be nice to help someone out. There's an honest interest, And I'm not gonna get in with algorithms and all that, because I can care less, but I guarantee, half the people that I see on YouTube that go through this, if you were to play to a group of people that love what you're doing, that love that style of music, they're gonna say the same thing. They're gonna be fixed to what you're doing. They're gonna be fixed to what you're doing. Again, like I said before, maybe this is something that people, we used to do libraries and bookstores and gigs too. They're just finding a way, other than YouTube, finding a way that's where you're actually out there playing for these people. And build up the resistance against the naysayers, because they're going to be there. Trust me, they're going to be there. But you'd be surprised how many people will still take notice. And the first thing they're going to tell you is, that sounded good, man. No one's playing like this. So that's why when I have these conversations with some of these musicians I run into at the music store, hopefully it helps them out, because I can see it in their eyes. They want to do this, but they feel like they can't. To me, you know what that's called? To me, that's called the icky bad day job. That's what that is. Because you feel like you're so suppressed to really doing what you love to do, in conjunction with the other things to make them happy. That's like suppression. I'd rather have the day job and then do the music on my own terms then. Because at least when I go out and play, it's going to be me. It should be what I love. And like I said before, it's nice to be able to look back at your life and say, you know what? I did what I wanted to do. And of course, with the help, from Deb, she's the one that really, she's the one that really got the ball rolling for me. You're playing this kind of music. And she asked, how come you don't play this out? And I told her, this is when we first met. I don't have anybody helping me. She said, I'll help you. And from that day, that she took over, it's been successful all the way because of because of how she took over. It got us to play over in Europe. It got us to play for NATO. It got us to do all these road shows. It got us to get our music out there. It got us to get, play these exclusive places. Now, so what? We didn't become on the cover of this magazine and that magazine. But you see, you got to look at what success really is, how it affects you personally. And when I say that we played at places that I never thought in my wildest dream, I never thought I would ever play at NATO. Are you kidding me? It's always, we'd open up for this band and that band, and maybe we'll get this and that, the other, and this, and then you start finding out. You get on some of these festivals, and there's little to no pay. But you could do a baby shower and make more money than the person that's, not headlining, but second in, at a festival. It's weird. It's bizarre. It's the opposite of what you would think. How do I know that? Because we've done that. That's how I know. And, playing, like I said, doing the Kentucky Derby. Everyone from ESPN invited us at that VIP party. Got a picture with Kate Upton. We didn't know what was going on. We didn't know that was going to be there. Boom. And it was all our music. We were able to do what we do. And these people, I don't follow sports like a lot of people. So if I could remember the names, you'll say, oh my God, you got your picture, you met that guy, you met this guy, oh, you got your picture with this girl, wow, this is awesome. And the weird thing is some of those people, they play music. Man, how'd you get your fingers to move like that? Wow, that's awesome. I'm fiddling around with the guitar and I think it's fun, I like it, but I'll never be able to play it. And this is someone that's a superstar, super sports star. And they're looking at someone like me, I'll never be able to do something like that, but dude, that's awesome. It's weird. Because in my mind, I know this guy is somebody, like the one guy that we've seen he used to have a TV show on the History Channel where your challenges would be like up against nature or whatever. Football player. He was a football player. See, that's what I mean. And I'm looking at this guy talking with me, and it's like, I can't say like old buddies, because that's not, but it was like two people that have mutual respect for each other's craft. That's what it felt like. That's exactly what it felt like. And maybe it's because I didn't recognize these people. I went, oh, could I get this picture? We did ask for some pictures, yeah, and they were polite enough, but we were not hanging on them. You know what I mean? We were respecting, and part of I think they saw that I didn't recognize these people. That was another thing. I think they saw that, and I figured, this guy's cool, man. He's not going to bombard us when and like fall all over us. They get tired of that. They're human beings too, just like anybody else. Just like anybody else. Trust me. Because the conversations we had I had to look at that and I'm like, did we just meet these people? What is this? We didn't think that would be. And then, I know Deb could say the same thing. Because I know I could say the same thing, but it was different times at NAMM. Not Vietnam, but NAMM. I did run into some really wonderful people at 1989 NAMM show. Robert Monroe Turner, one of them, who I was going to do the endorsement deal with his guitar. The nicest guy on the planet Earth. He treated me with the utmost respect. I couldn't believe it. Gave me the guitar. I didn't have to buy it. Gave it to me. Here it is. Here's your choice. You got 10 guitars. Pick whatever one you want. That blew my mind. I'm practically a nobody. But see, he did it on the basis of the skill. He liked what I was doing. And he saw that. It wasn't popularity. It was skill, because he knew if you're hungry enough, if you go that level and you're here and you're treating everybody with respect, part of it is, being young and very impressionable, because it was 1989. And the other part is because I just want to, be respectful. That's just how I was raised, you know? Um, so people like that, and Adrian Vandenberg was in the PV booth. Man, it was fun. Jerry was a real nice guy, watching me play. Again, did you go to GIT? Did you go to Berkeley? And no, I practiced. At first, he didn't believe me. I just said, yeah, no, I practiced. Focus, practice. These people know. But it's really sad when you run into the ones with the big heads. Yeah, there's no reason for that. No reason at all for that. We were not born with the guitar coming out the wombs. We were born with the gift. I will always say that. I will always say that. Every person is born with a uniqueness. And my belief, in my opinion, and my strong belief, is a gift from God. Someone else could disagree, that's fine. But you cannot disagree with the simple fact. Why does it seem easier for someone to do something coming out the gate than others? You know what I mean? Now, singing is definitely not my forte, so I never do that. I don't have that gift. I have the gift for this. I know that. But I shouldn't go on a tangent. I apologize. But what I'm saying is that, stick to what is in your heart, and trust me, part of the success is not always the money. We all know we have to make money, so that's common sense. It's when you could walk away from, for instance, I'm a guitar player, right? So I walk away from the performance, whether anybody liked it or not. But I know I was in that zone, and I know I gave it my all, and I was in that zone, and it felt great. I knew I did my job. Plus, there's a person that loved it, and they came up to me and told me. But there's people that are shy, and they won't come up. And you could see it in their eyes that they're seeing what you're conveying. They get it. So that's what I mean. For anybody out there in YouTube and in social media and that, stick to your guns. Stick to your guns. Don't let anybody persuade you one way or another. Because everyone's got something unique to share. Stay positive, just like Deb says, positive. And trust me, they will come, they will magically appear. It's when you least expect it. And then you're always kind of ready. You know what I mean? This is where you find out, okay, this is my audience. This is what I'm sticking with because this is working. Okay, yeah, Randy Tritt loves playing country and rock music. Yeah, he's inspiring. Randy Tripp is great. Every time he goes live, he's playing. You notice that? Every time. You know what else goes? And of course, Joe Wentz, he every time he puts a video, he's always playing. And same with Old Man Dan. I forgot what I was going to say now. Oh yeah, even Guitar Meets Science when he does live, he's plugged in, he's playing. You see, it's just sharing that with people. That's the inspiration. Now for the people that have the talk shows, okay, and they got the guitars, that does have a purpose too, because you're going to find some information there that you might not find from a person playing, because we're playing. So I mean, I'm not going to rule that out. It might not be my thing, but I still respect them. But I mean, there's something for everybody. There's Dwight Bailey. What is happening, Dwight? The hit maker. No matter what it is, it's as long as you feel happy with what you've done, because you see, this is what I mean with social media. You can take the videos down all you want. It stays in that computer system that they call the cloud. And if someone has to pull it down, there it is. So I guess you got to be kind of wise, pick and choose, what you put up, this, that, and the other. Uh, but as long as it can inspire a person for positive, it's going to have longevity. Time is going to tell, and you'll see. Anyways, my friends, it's getting late, and I think I'm starting to lose my signal here because something's happened up here in the corner that I can see, and it's overriding. It just I went overriding my time here. So I really appreciate everyone tuning in, and I got to get up at 6 so we can pick up those vehicles and take them back to Fort Myers. It'll be about maybe a 10 hour day, maybe a little less. Because again, they only go up to like 65, 66 miles an hour, and that's with the pedal to the metal. They ain't gonna go any faster than that. So I'm, prepared for that. So, but anyways, I hope this helped anybody, just kind of do my little thing. And I appreciate everyone tuning in. You guys totally rock. So, yeah, we are gonna go live Friday. Well, Deb, she'll have the camera. You guys have a great and blessed week too, and all you guys matter. Just remember that. Even like I said, there are times I can't be on watching all the time. It doesn't mean I don't think about you. It doesn't mean if you get those extra thumbs up, that's definitely me giving you a thumbs up. Even if I can't put a comment, I'm giving you a thumbs up. Anyways, my friends, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, you stay safe, strong, and true. Rock on, and God bless you. Take care now.